The morning started with a buzz of excitement as Good Morning America teased a highly anticipated sit-down with Mariah Carey, a singer celebrated for her 5-octave vocal range and festive dominance every holiday season. Fans were expecting glamour, laughter, and maybe even a vocal surprise, but what unfolded shocked both the live studio audience and viewers at home. Instead of light-hearted conversation, tension quickly surfaced between Mariah and Michael Strahan, the former NFL star and co-host, catching everyone off guard. From the very beginning, Mariah's body language signaled that she wasn't entirely comfortable. She smiled politely but often shifted in her seat, avoiding direct eye contact. Strahan, known for his charismatic and sometimes probing interview style, attempted to open with casual banter, but Mariah's clipped responses hinted at irritation. Producers backstage reportedly exchanged nervous glances, sensing that the interview was taking a path far from the upbeat tone they had planned to deliver. The spark that ignited the argument came when Strahan brought up Mariah's long history of rumored diva behavior. He asked, half-jokingly, whether she still required certain backstage demands or if those were exaggerated stories. Mariah visibly stiffened, her smile fading. She shot back that her professionalism was constantly undermined by lazy labels, adding that she had built her career on talent, not tabloid caricatures. The atmosphere in the studio thickened instantly, and audience members leaned forward. Instead of retreating, Strahan pressed further, suggesting that fans sometimes enjoy those stories because they highlight Mariah's larger-than-life persona. His tone may have been playful, but Mariah did not find it amusing. She raised her hand, cutting him off mid-sentence, and declared that she was tired of men in media minimizing her accomplishments by recycling tired gossip. Her voice carried a sharpness that startled viewers, and murmurs rippled through the studio crowd as the tension escalated. Mariah's reaction struck a chord because it was not just about the question, it was about years of scrutiny. She reminded Strahan and the audience that she had sold over 200 million records worldwide, survived personal struggles, and still maintained her spot as a cultural icon. Each word was delivered with growing intensity, as if she had stored this frustration for a long time. Strahan attempted to regain control of the segment, but Mariah's fiery energy had already shifted the power dynamic. At this point, the producers were caught in a dilemma. Cutting to commercial too early might create more headlines, yet letting the clash play out risked losing the carefully curated tone of morning television. Strahan tried to steer the discussion back to Mariah's new music project, but the singer wasn't ready to move on. Instead, she accused the show of baiting her with provocative questions rather than celebrating her artistry. Her candor earned scattered applause from audience members. As the exchange grew more heated, Mariah's tone sharpened further. She pointedly told Strahan that if he wanted to talk about legends, he should remember that her name stands alongside the greats, not with gossip. The studio seemed frozen, cameras capturing every flicker of emotion on her face. Strahan, clearly rattled but still attempting to maintain composure, replied that he had deep respect for her career but also believed fans wanted transparency about her personality beyond the music. Mariah countered that transparency should not come at the expense of dignity. She reminded viewers that female artists are often treated differently, with their quirks exaggerated while male performers are praised for similar behaviors. Her statement drew audible gasps and supportive nods from some in the crowd. In that moment, the interview had shifted from celebrity banter into a broader conversation about gender, media, and respect, one that resonated far beyond the morning television stage. Strahan attempted a light laugh to cool the tension, but Mariah wasn't having it. She leaned forward and insisted that jokes at her expense were not harmless. She explained that every time the media revisits those stereotypes, it chips away at her humanity. Her intensity made it clear this was not rehearsed drama, it was raw emotion bubbling over in real time. The live broadcast captured an unfiltered glimpse of the superstar rarely seen in polished interviews. The exchange took an even sharper turn when Strahan suggested that some fans still adore the diva label because it symbolizes power. Mariah interrupted with a firm shake of her head, declaring that true power comes from resilience and talent, not from caricatures. Her voice rose slightly, commanding attention. For a moment, the studio was silent, as though everyone was holding their breath. Even Strahan paused, Clearly unsure of how to continue without fueling the fire further, viewers at home quickly began reacting on social media, clips spreading within minutes. Hashtags like #MariahOngma and #StrahanClash started trending. Some defended Strahan, saying he was just doing his job, while others praised Mariah for standing up for herself with unapologetic honesty. The digital conversation only amplified the drama unfolding live, creating a feedback loop that ensured this interview would dominate entertainment news cycles for days. Despite the mounting tension, Mariah remained composed in her own fiery way. She never raised her voice into a scream, but the sharpness of her words cut deeply. Strahan, perhaps realizing the damage being done, softened his tone and attempted a compliment about her holiday legacy. Mariah allowed a faint smile, but then quipped that being reduced to just the Christmas lady ignored the depth of her decades-long career. Once again, the room buzzed with audible reactions. Strahan's attempt to pivot fell flat. Mariah continued to stress that she was not just a seasonal phenomenon but a multifaceted artist with ongoing projects. She highlighted her upcoming music ventures and insisted that platforms like GMA should spotlight her current work rather than recycle old narratives. This declaration felt like a reclaiming of the moment, as if Mariah had decided that if the spotlight was on her, she would control the narrative no matter the cost. The cameras captured Strahan's tight smile, his eyes betraying discomfort. He nodded politely, but his attempts to interject were swiftly overpowered by Mariah's assertiveness. She noted that interviews should empower artists instead of pigeonholing them. This time, her words were delivered slower, calmer, yet just as impactful. The intensity had shifted from confrontation to a statement of principle, leaving the audience wondering whether this was a career-defining television moment for both. Behind the scenes, producers were reportedly urging Strahan through his earpiece to wrap the segment gracefully. Still, Mariah's refusal to be silenced meant the spotlight remained firmly on her. She elaborated that resilience had been her guiding force throughout hardships, from industry pressures to personal struggles. The studio audience, once restless, now sat trapped, aware they were witnessing something rare, a global superstar breaking past the usual glossy veneer of morning TV. As the final minutes of the segment approached, Strahan asked one more question about Mariah's relationship with her fans. This time, her demeanor softened slightly. She expressed gratitude for her family, acknowledging that their unwavering support had carried her through every battle. For the first time during the interview, her voice warmed, revealing the deep bond she feels with those who champion her no matter the headlines. It was a glimpse of vulnerability amid the storm. The softening did not erase the earlier clash, though. Strahan, perhaps sensing the need for closure, thanked Mariah for her honesty, but his words were delivered with careful neutrality. Mariah, still poised, responded that honesty was all she had ever offered, though it was not always welcomed. The statement hung in the air, leaving the studio in contemplative silence. The exchange, though tempered, carried the weight of an unresolved conflict between celebrity image and media portrayal. When the cameras finally cut to commercial, the studio reportedly erupted into hushed chatter. Crew members whispered about whether the confrontation would overshadow Mariah's promotional goals, while others suggested it might actually benefit her by reinforcing her image as outspoken and authentic. Strahan was seen taking a deep breath, visibly relieved the segment had ended, while Mariah maintained her composure, exuding the aura of someone who had said exactly what needed to be said. In the hours after the broadcast, entertainment outlets replayed the fiery moments on loop. Headlines debated whether Mariah had gone too far or if Strahan had crossed a line with his questioning. Think pieces emerged about gender bias in media, diva stereotypes, and the challenges women in entertainment still face when asserting authority. What was supposed to be a routine morning show plug had transformed into a cultural flashpoint, sparking dialogue far beyond the studio walls. By the end of the day, Mariah herself addressed the situation indirectly on social media. She posted a glamorous photo with the caption, "Speaking my truth will never be a crime." Fans flooded the comments with support, while critics dissected every word. The clash on Good Morning America cemented itself as one of the most talked about live TV moments of the year, a reminder that behind the sparkle and songs, Mariah Carey remains unapologetically real. The next morning, The aftermath of Mariah's confrontation was still reverberating. Major networks replayed the clip during their own broadcasts, dissecting her every word and gesture. Public relations experts debated whether this would damage her brand or strengthen it. Many concluded that Mariah's refusal to be boxed onto the diva stereotype was not only empowering but also consistent with her long career of defying expectations. The clash had transcended gossip and entered the territory of cultural discourse. Strahan, for his part, issued a carefully worded comment to the press. He acknowledged the spirited exchange and emphasized his respect for Mariah as a legendary artist. His statement was diplomatic, designed to cool the flames without conceding too much. Some observers viewed it as damage control, while others felt it showed professionalism. Still, fans noticed that his words lacked the warmth of reconciliation, suggesting that beneath the polished response, some tension lingered. Social media, however, showed no signs of moving on. Fans created countless memes capturing Mariah's sharp hand gesture and unflinching stare during the exchange. Some paired the clips with her iconic high notes, while others branded it a queen moment. For her loyal fan base, it became a rallying cry about demanding respect. Within hours, the moment was etched into pop culture history, joining the many unforgettable sound bites and performances Mariah had delivered over decades. Entertainment analysts began to compare this interview to past moments in Mariah's career where she resisted being boxed in. They recalled her famous "I don't know her" remark about Jennifer Lopez, her candid admissions about mental health, and her insistence on creative control during industry battles. Each moment, they argued, painted a picture of an artist who valued authenticity over media polish. The GMA clash, rather than tarnishing her, reinforced her as a truth-teller unafraid of backlash. Meanwhile, media critics scrutinized Strahan's role. Was he simply fulfilling his job as an interviewer by asking tough questions, or did he cross into provocation? Opinions were split. Some praised him for pressing topics others avoided, while others accused him of perpetuating tired narratives at the expense of respect. The debate reflected a larger question about journalism. When does curiosity cross into exploitation, and who gets to decide where that line is drawn? Mariah's team, recognizing the momentum, leaned into the narrative. They highlighted her strength and framed the incident as a reminder of her resilience. Statements emphasized her artistry, philanthropy, and longevity in an industry often unkind to women, especially those who demand respect. By seizing the conversation rather than running from it, Mariah turned a heated moment into a strategic opportunity, ensuring her voice remained central rather than overshadowed by speculation. Fans also pointed out the double standard evident in the discourse. Male artists who bristle at tough questions are often called passionate or strong-willed, whereas Mariah was once again branded difficult. The contrast fueled online discussions about sexism in entertainment. Hashtags such as #RespectMariah and #WomenInMedia trended, with supporters insisting that female celebrities have every right to push back against narratives that diminish their achievements. The clash had become a symbol of broader cultural struggles. Within a week, ratings for Good Morning America showed a noticeable spike, thanks largely to replays of the Mariah segment. Executives likely viewed the controversy as beneficial, even if it veered off script. But industry insiders whispered about whether the program might face challenges booking top-tier stars wary of similar treatment. Mariah herself seemed unfazed, appearing radiant at her next public outing, smiling for cameras as though nothing could shake her confidence. Interviews with audience members who attended the live taping added new layers to the story. Several admitted they had never seen anything like it in a morning show setting, describing the moment as both uncomfortable and riveting. One attendee said it felt as though Mariah was fighting for all women who've been mislabeled, while another said Strahan seemed genuinely blindsided. These first-hand accounts gave fans at home validation that the tension wasn't scripted for drama. Ultimately, the Good Morning America clash solidified itself as another chapter in Mariah Carey's legendary story. Whether viewed as a meltdown, a bold stand, or simply a misaligned conversation, it ensured her relevance in a media landscape that often moves on quickly. For Mariah, the moment underscored a truth she's lived by: her voice, both musical and personal, cannot be muted. And for viewers, It served as a reminder that live television still has the power to shock, spark debate, and make history.